My name is Chlo, and this is the Feed or Flow podcast, where you'll find authentic conversations on how to get your period back and restore your metabolism from years of disordered eating, low-calorie diets, and excessive exercise regimes. No trendy diets of celery juice and broccoli sprouts will be found here. Rather, my mission is to teach you balance and how the foods you've most likely cut out of your diet are the very ones that are essential for health. It's time we stop fearing food and embrace all that it can do for us. Food freedom, vivacious health, and a monthly menstrual cycle is possible, and I'm going to show you how to achieve this type of wellness without obsession. I really love that you said the word power, like the power of food, because I think a lot of us in this day and age, we're so against food. It's all about, oh, this and that food's inflammatory and this food's going to be bad for me. And it's all about restricting more and more and cutting out and eliminating foods. But right there, you're saying like, I learned the power of foods, like how food can actually enhance my health. And it sounds like you were living in a very stressed lifestyle. I think a lot of us, we get caught up in sort of like, for lack of a better term, like corporate America. We don't have to be in America to be in sort of that rat race of, climbing up the ladder, working at a huge company or whatever it may be. And a lot of us, we don't prioritize rest, and we think that we just need to do more and more and more. And it sounds like you really came to understand, I'm completely depleting myself, and this is leading to a bunch of health issues.
Yeah, but it took me a long time because, society tells you that it's great to have a corporate job and it's great to have a really busy job, and exercising is amazing, and being thin and not sleeping is great. So you get all these messages and you really believe them. And it took me years and years to actually reverse all that, because it's really ingrained. And it's. I didn't change overnight. It took me a long time, but with the right tools, really, it's you can take your power back.
So let's dive into this, Marina. We're talking about stress and how it impacts one's health. When I think of stress, I think one of the first things that comes to my mind is like taxes and exams at school, and maybe even like relationship stress. But what is the stress that we're talking about here, and how does that actually impact our body, and why do we want to start mitigating stress? And we will dive into how to do that. And you've already sort of mentioned that like meditation was a huge part for you, but let's dive into what stress can look like.
Yeah, sure. So when I talk about stress, I really talk about your body's response to any demand and any threat. This can be any danger that can be real, or it can be also imagined. So when your brain senses danger, your body is going to kick into something that we call the fight or flight response, or also called the stress response. So this really evolved as a survival mechanism. So it was very useful for animals and human beings to have this physiological and hormonal response. So you were able to actually fight or escape from a dangerous situation. So this is very useful for life-threatening situations. The thing is that this hasn't really evolved for the type of stress that we are that we have these days. So, if you have a meeting with your boss the next day, or if you have a really tough relationship with your partner or with your kids. So this type of stress is really it's not life-threatening, but your body is going to have the exact same reaction. So your body doesn't care what type of stress it is. The physiological changes are going to be the exact same ones. I like to divide stress between external and internal stress. So external is really everything that happens to you. So it can be, getting married, or having a baby, getting a divorce, someone in the family dying. So all those are things that happen to you. And also in anything at work, stressful deadlines. So that's all external things that are happening to you. And then you have the internal stress. So that one is something that you create yourself. So it's more fears, expectations, when you have this expectation of having an amazing holiday and then nothing goes according to plan. So that's really stressful for the body. And then, of course, you have some factors that people don't even think that they are stress. And those are more chronic, and they are more, they're always there. It's more an underlying stress. And in my opinion, this is actually the most damaging type of stress. A big one is blood sugar dysregulation. So every time your blood sugar is low, you are going to release cortisol. So your stress response is going to kick in. Also, if you have a food sensitivity, you might have inflammation in the gut. So that is stressful for the body. And if you have an autoimmune disease, that's very stressful for the body. And of course, environmental toxins. So especially mold, things like that are very stressful for the body. So the body is going to have the exact same physiological response.
So crazy just hearing you rattle off that whole list of things, because I remember back in like my orthorexic days, I was very fixated on like being perfect with my food, because I thought that like eating perfectly was going to lead to like perfect health. But hearing you just say all these things, I mean, there was the blood sugar, there was expectations, fears, you were talking about work stress, like, and there's even more. There's, not sleeping well enough, there's exercising too much, like there's all these stressors that are going to impact our health. And here I was just fixating so much on just the food aspect, completely disregarding that, like, is my home healthy, or is there a lot of mold in my house, and is that creating a lot of toxicity in my body, or in a response in my body? Is it stressful? So I really love that you really sort of gave us so many things to think about in terms of like what is stressing us out. And I want to just add on to that too, the stress of trying to fit in and have the perfect body and look a certain way. That's a huge stress that I think, with social media, that has greatly increased, because we're constantly comparing ourselves to others.
Yeah, and the negative self-talk, that's a big one. Every time you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm not good enough," or "This is not for me, I'm not adequate," that kind of talk is very toxic as well. It really affects your health.
It really, really does. Yeah. You mentioned one thing. You mentioned blood sugar dysregulation, and can you please explain to our listeners, first off, what on earth is blood sugar? Why is it important to be balanced, and what on earth would get it unbalanced?
Every time your blood sugar is low, that is actually quite dangerous especially for your brain. So your body is going to give preference to the short-term survival of the body. So the first thing it's going to do is to increase your blood sugar, and the hormone that does that is cortisol. So cortisol, what it's going to do is going to bring your blood sugar up. It's going to take that usually from protein and from fat in your body, and if you are on that low blood sugar often during the day, you're going to be releasing cortisol quite often. So you're always going to have that high cortisol, which in the long term is going to have a lot of effects in the body.
So then how would we go about managing our blood sugar levels?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the best way to manage your blood sugar levels, it's first you need to balance every meal and every snack with carbohydrates, protein, and fat, especially carbohydrates and protein. Protein is going to decrease your blood sugar, and carbohydrates is going to increase it. So that's why we always want to eat them together. So that way you can make sure that your blood sugar is balanced. The second thing is you should be eating every 3 or 4 hours. I wouldn't go really any more than that. I'm definitely against intermittent fasting. I think that's very, very detrimental, especially for the female body. As a matter of fact, I like to eat a little something before I go to bed, because I don't want to leave too many hours in between dinner and breakfast. And when I wake up, first thing I do is I have breakfast. So I always recommend to all my clients, try to eat within 30 minutes to 1 hour of waking up. And this is because if you think about it, you store your glucose in your liver, and it can last for 7, 8, 10 hours if you have a really good liver, but you are going to start to release cortisol in the morning pretty early on. So the sooner you start eating, the sooner you are going to stop that stress response.
Which what we're talking about is how, stress negatively impacts our body. So that would be so crucial for your health. And I say the same exact things to the people who follow me and to my clients as well. I had a client actually yesterday come to me, and she was saying, I've been feeling like a little hungry at night. And so, and she's a new client. So we're like just starting to work together. So
Yeah.
she doesn't know that I'm like, yes, eat at night. But she was really worried about her eating at night. She was like, I don't know, like it'll sometimes be 11 o'clock and I'll like go and get a snack. And I feel like this is really bad. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Like I purposely go and make sure that I have a snack right before bed, even if that's midnight, because I know that I'm not going to sleep throughout the night if I wake up at 3 a.m. because I'm low blood sugar. Like that's worse than just eating a snack and,
exactly.
the whole night through.
Yeah. And a lot of people, especially if you are, if you wake up, at 3, 4 a.m., I mean, this is a really good trick. Try to have a little something before you go to bed, something always, protein and carbs together. Just have it before you go to bed and see if anything changes, because a lot of my clients see a lot of improvements with their sleep.
Thanks for listening to this short clip from the Feed or Flow podcast. To listen to the rest of the show, head on over to your favorite podcast app like iTunes or Spotify. If your period has gone MIA, you're going to want to get her back. She's important for your health and misses you dearly. I've created a juicy online course designed to teach you everything I wish I knew about getting my period back, restoring my metabolism, and cultivating a healthy, nourishing relationship with food. The Get Your Flow On course is designed to empower and inspire you to achieve full recovery. Head on over to www.flowwithchlo.com to sign up.